Welcome to another Live and On Display. I'm Robert, and beside me is Christina. And in honor of Nature Photography Day, we're going to be joining you live for the entire time out here in nature.
What is that?
It's just a bee.
I don't think it was just a bee.
No. Is that a hornet's nest? Ah! Ah! Oh, God! Welcome back, everyone. For those of you who just joining us, we actually just enjoyed a lovely walk out in nature in honor of Nature Photography Day. And we are actually going to open up the scope a little bit today about what we talk about, not just nature photography, but a couple other topics as well. Christina, what are we going to talk about today?
So today, since you said it's Nature Photography Day, we're going to touch on the top 3 products that nature photography lend to really well, and as well as limited edition art. So artists who make artwork with, they still take a photo of it usually, but they're usually selling in galleries online or in boutique galleries in towns all over the U.S.
Cool. So like maybe non-traditional photographers, but also multimedia artists, that eventually have to translate to something that you can put on a wall.
That they sell. Yep,
that's exciting. That we're going to open that up. That's pretty cool. Now, for those of you just joining us again, we are going to have about a 20-minute program with you today. So we are live, so don't forget to get down there, drop in any questions, and we will get those answered as we go along. Don't forget to follow us on all things White House Custom Color on YouTube, and of course, you can haunt us over there at Instagram at WHCC Pro. Well, why don't we just jump in?
Yeah, I think so,
What's
Robert?
first on the docket?
So the first thing would be probably our number 1 substrate for these type of artists and photography is metal prints.
Yes, metal prints. Let's look at a couple. So here we go. I would say that the beauty of metal prints and really nature photography is just the color pop that you get, right?
Yes.
Really something that's going to be quite remarkable that you see on the wall and here like this. Metals are always popular, but I think they're super popular with this. We have a number of different bases and ways to display these, and also keep in mind that there is an exterior version so that you can also hang those outdoors. So what we're looking at here is a white base high gloss, right? And you can see that reflection there in the camera.
Which again, I'd say the most popular, especially for this type of art, the white base high gloss. You really, like you said, want it to pop off the wall like that. Just the color and the saturation of everything is just pretty awesome. It's hard to beat.
Exactly. So the white base is going to be more akin to photo, just a photograph, that the whites are going to be white. And just due to the process, the dye sublimation process, the colors are going to pop just automatically, right? So do keep that in mind. There are other things like you can do a clear base, which is really dramatic, but the lighter air is going to show the metal through. If you're unsure, the most popular white base high gloss. You cannot miss.
And Robert, we're showing a nice size to show on camera, but really what we see a lot of artists do with these is custom sizes, landscape. We can really do anything up to, I think, is it 790? Is it? We do 40.
We can get up to maybe 96.
I thought it was 96. That's what I was going to say. But yeah, they come in big 8-foot sheets. So to be honest, they can go a little under 8 feet on one side.
And that's actually a really great point, Christina. If you have a size that is non-standard, don't worry about it. Just contact us. We have the ability to really custom size anything over there in the wall art department. So here we're just showing you a print with one of the standard, probably the most popular backing, which is this float mount. But remember that this on its own is going to float off the wall, right? Because the substrate is smaller than the print, but there are upgrades to this too. If you really want to up your game, consider what I'm going to show you right now, which is the exact same image, but it's inside a float frame.
Yeah.
Right, so go ahead.
This is, like I say, like just a nice, like you said upgrade earlier, an upgrade touch to it. Basically, you can float frame any of our products. But the cool part about the metal print is, pending where they're going to put it, right? It could go in a home, it could go obviously in an office space or commercial space, but the frame kind of just elevates it a little bit more, makes it look even nicer, and you can get any color of frames we have, right? Wood frames, metal frames, classic. But really, it just brings it up another level, kind of an upgrade.
Right, so keep that in mind, okay? So we can customize your print, but we can also then customize your framing options as well, so don't be shy about that. The float frame, for those of you that are not familiar with the float frame, you'll see that there is a little gap here around this, right? So it looks like the product is floating inside this frame, which has a certain depth to it. Of course, they're all gonna be professionally finished, right, on the back with a wire hanger, and the paper backing. These are a really nice option, like you say, to up your game. Again, we're showing you some nature photography, but any of you multimedia artists, if you want something to pop, think about metal.
Yep, we're showing our woodland frame, but like we said, we have metal, and we'll show some of those differently with some of our other substrates, but really anything that you want to match whatever photography you're kind of showing it in. But again, it just gives that gallery feel, like, you know, when you go into any museum or anything like that, it's always kind of finished with the frame. So it kind of just gives it that extra little gallery feel.
Right, so think about that, to up your game a little bit and make that available to your clients, right? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Is that it for metals?
Robert, we can actually go to the back wall if you want to just show.
You know what, let me get out of the way.
This float frame right here. So this is actually another white base, high gloss. You're finding more?
Yep, finding more stuff in my hair. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, if you want to talk.
White base, high gloss.
Yep.
But you know what, Christina, all of these gorgeous pictures are from who?
Mike Hanline, obviously a co-owner here, one of our founders here of White House. We actually featured an article of him today if you want to check it out online. But yeah, he recently visited Antarctica on a National Geographic cruise. So these are some of the pictures. But this, again, is showing you the metal print with the finished float frame, and this is the gray woodland frame.
Right, so really nice, right? I mean, it's just kind of it just finishes it.
Yeah.
Right, a beautiful idea. So do keep that in mind. Fantastic. Well, you know what, too, though, we're not the only ones who love metals, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Can we throw something, Lucas? Yeah, let's throw a video of our friend Adam Stagner from Stagner Images. Now, he loves metals.
He does, and he is kind of like a digital artist, also nature photography. He does go on trips and takes photos of places he visits, but yeah.
Well, he had an opportunity to come and visit us, and we got to hang out with him, a super enthusiastic guy, and he will go out there and get the shot.
Oh,
right?
yes.
He'll do what it takes. It was great to spend a day with him, and we have a little behind-the-scene footage maybe, and maybe him talking about why he loves metal so much. So let's check it out.
Well, let's talk about your products now. So what is your main focus of what you're showcasing in this space?
Metal prints.
Yep.
The metal prints have been something that, and I think it is because of where that price point has always been for metal, that it doesn't show up all the time. So when people come across it, especially like at a trade show or like me being in a mall, it's something that they're not seeing all the time. Canvas is one of those things that's so popular that anywhere you go, canvas is found. They'll stop and they'll look, but it's not as awe-striking as it is for the metal prints.
Yeah.
The metal prints bring our images to life in more detail, more color depth than you could ever get from any other medium, and people notice it. Whether they know exactly why they're looking at it that way is another thing, but it does grab people's attention, and it's been one of my favorite mediums to print on to bring my own images to life.
Hey, thanks, Adam, for spending the day with us. It's great to have you with us, and great to have your perspective on metal prints, and we love them too. So don't forget to check out Adam at stagnerimages.com. I don't know if we can throw that up or not, but it's STAGNER images.com. Check him out. Great stuff.
We do have a YouTube live and his interview on our website too that they could check out.
Oh yeah, go that. Head over to the page and check that out as well. Fantastic. So let's move on to a topic that's a little bit deeper as far as options go. Right? And that would be fine art prints, shall we? Now, fine art prints, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of choices here. So this, I think, is going to be a lot about what fits your work and your vibe and what you gravitate
preference
toward.
too.
Right? Because what you love, you will sell. I'm going to show you all the options. right? And it's up to you to kind of cull that down to what fits your vibe. You probably don't want to offer all of them because you'll make your client's head explode, right?
Most of our top clients that lend themselves to this, they tend to pick one or two that they love, like you said, Robert, and they sell it because they love it and it looks good with their art, you know. So.
Now the fine art papers, so we talked about how there's a transfer process for the metal prints, right? And that is that there's going to be a print made on a transfer material in reverse, and it's going to be heat bonded, and it will become part of that metal print.
For the metal prints, right?
Right, for the metal prints. It just doesn't just stick on top, it is part of the metal print. Now, for a production of our fine art prints, that is going to be an inkjet giclée process, and this is going to be archival, lifetime archival ability. 7/8 inkjet process is going to give you just beautiful depth of color, right? And so, for the most part, why do we have different fine art papers? It's the texture and the characteristics of them.
I would agree.
Your artwork's going to look great on all of them. So this is what we're talking about. You want to look at your style. So let's just start right out at the top. And this is our fine art smooth matte paper. And the smooth matte is just what it sounds like. It's tabletop smooth, which kind of means you can print anything on it, right?
Yeah, it is our #1 paper. It's just a simple option if you're not sure where to go. It has the art qualities, like you said, that feels high end. You can tell it's printed nicely, and it has texture to it, a little bit.
Right, that's just a great description of it, that you can't miss, is what Christine is saying. If you're not sure where to start with the fine art papers, go smooth matte. You just can't go wrong. So this can be people, it can be whatever your artwork is, it is going to display lovely on this, and it will be smooth. So you have to think about, is the texture going to change this as well? This is pretty much going to just directly reproduce your image. I love that paper. So now we're going to move on to one of our more artistic papers, and this is the torchon. Okay, this is a Hahnemühle paper, torchon, 100% cotton, and what it's going to be hard to pick up here is the texture. This is going to have your typical watercolor texture. The French torchon in this case is actually kind of indicating a rag is what that's coming from, and so that's kind of the idea of this. And Christina, do you see this? Well, I mean, this is kind of obvious and on the nose here, but in the more artistic or almost painterly sense? Yes,
I think you hit a nail on the head there, painterly sense. It is like a watercolory type texture to it.
Right, and that'll be familiar to you watercolor artists out here, but it's really just a beautiful paper as well, and has that nice texture which really is going to actually have your clients guessing what the media actually is, right? So this is a beautiful paper and I love it. Now we're going to move on to, this is a very interesting paper. For those of you out there know that the general Kodak Metallic is not available anymore, but this is a super nice option now. This is a photo rag metallic fine art paper.
Yes.
Okay, so again, this is not a photographic paper. This is that inkjet giclée process with the lifetime archival ability. But you see as I move it around, you see it has a little presence, right? It has a little reflectability, and then you see that sort of metallic sheen that lies underneath it. I love this paper. It's really impactful. What do you see this for categorically?
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. I think it's for the people that did love some of the color in the metallic paper, right? So that's why I love it too. I see everything on there. I see seniors, but I think this looks really cool too because it's like a cityscape, but it's kind of, has lights to it, and it's also darker too, so the texture to it brings out a nice look into it. So. Yeah,
and well said. This does have a little bit of texture to it, certainly not as much as the watercolor film papers, right? But this does have a little texture to it. And the main thing is, of course, is that coating. Baryta comes from the process, by the way, by which it's made, barium sulfate. Smart, right? Yeah, say it to your clients. You'll be super, super smart. Except that this isn't the Baryta, this is the metallic photo rag. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Everybody relax. We're going to get to all the papers, okay? We're going to get to them. This is the metallic photo rag. And because it is that inkjet, those really deep dark colors are reproducing.
They are,
right? You know that one of the problems sometimes when you shoot, you're like, I lost the darks. This is going to pick them up, right?
Yep,
a really cool paper. But wait, I got to go get it now because I talked about it. Let's talk about the photo rag Baryta.
Yep.
How do you produce that? It's produced in a process called barite or barium sulfate, and that's what gives it its coated kind of sheen to it. This is a little bit smoother than the metallic, the photo rag metallic.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because that rag on the metallic is a little heavier than this. This again has a little bit of sheen and presence, right? So these coated papers are maybe a little hardier, maybe
They
a
are.
little tougher.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
But also, this is, I find, just absolutely stunning for black and white.
Yes. Definitely, if someone is printing a lot of black and whites or really dark, we would suggest this paper as a good option for them.
And also really nice deep color transitions. I mean, it's tough for you to see on the screen,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yep.
how this really transitions all the way through the color base. Gorgeous. So this is getting closer to a photo feel, maybe.
Yep.
But I also love this paper. Now, I want to move on to...
I think this is the one we didn't do.
right.
Yeah, okay.
To this is our aquarelle rag paper. This also has a texture to it.
Yes.
Right, but not as much as the torchon.
Yeah, excuse me. I would put it in the middle of smooth matte and torchon, just like you're kind of doing right there.
Exactly. So it's going to go smooth matte, tabletop smooth, and then we're going to move on to this aquarelle rag, and then the torchon. The torchon is going to have the, let's say, heaviest texture. This is also a gorgeous paper. It has almost a velvety feel to it.
It is, yeah.
Right? And what do you see this used for most?
Again, I think it compares close to smooth matte, where you can print pretty much anything on there and it'll look gorgeous. I wouldn't say there's one or the other, but again, I think it just lends really well to the fine art paper and has a texture to it. So.
Right on. And the fine art papers, for those of you non-traditional artists or say collagists or things like that, and you go, what do I want to transfer this to?
Yeah.
Definitely take a look at the fine art papers, and we can send you samples of them. So just call in to our customer service. They'll send you out a sample pack of all the papers. There's no substitution to See, Touch, Feel, right? So remember this it has a little bit of texture. It's going to give you a little bit of that, but it's going to be completely matte like the other three papers. So that is the aquarelle rag. Shall we see it in action?
Yeah, and so remember, I do want to point out, so we were showing 8x10s there with like a border on it, right? And to be honest, a lot of our clients who sell this type of artwork do sell prints like this through their storefront. They ship pretty nice. Obviously, the end person would have to put it in a frame or do something with it. But it is still a really nice option and high-end servicing the art. But I think what we're going to show next is like going one step further and selling this as a finished product.
And that's, for me personally, that's probably what I would recommend. This paper is lovely and heavy and really feels substantial.
Yeah.
Me personally, I probably don't let this go out my door at least mounted.
Right. Something, yep.
Any of these papers are just going to have a natural curve to them. They all do. But yeah, let's take a look at how we're actually going to present these and sell them. So the one thing to keep in mind, so what we're looking at is a frame print in one of our modern metals, and this has a matte in it, all right? This is a true matte, kind of hard to see from the camera, but with our fine art papers, you see that's a really, really tight border because you can order them like that.
You can, yep.
Right, so if you just choose a border, it's going to show you that border. If you were dropping something in that you want to make your own border, it just has to be absolute white.
Correct.
Right? So on the RGB, it's got to be 255s, and it will look just like this, and it's super sharp.
Yes.
If you want it to be, or it's not. If you don't, like this, I love this on the torchon, right? That where it's sharp, but then it goes outside the borders in some of those cases. Here, can you see it? Follow it. All right, let's go.
You're making our camera guy work pretty hard today.
He loves it when I do that. Loves it. Let's go to back to this. So what we have is the metallic.
That one is the metallic,
Photo rag metallic, gorgeous. And we have this matte on it. There are going to be many choices that you can choose automatically.
Correct. Yep.
You can also customize this, right? Custom size.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of artists with the big matte. Again, it kind of goes back to that gallery feel, making it feel like high-end art, like it should be, right? These people creating this are amazing artists, and so they're selling their work high-end. And so the matte, we do see that a lot, that thick matte like that.
And I guess I would add to that by saying that, there are a lot of artists that it's part of their look, whatever that mat is. And if you have a mat size that is non-traditional, but it is your vibe, it is your look, we can do it. Don't worry about it. Just contact us. So this is, of course, the white, and it's going to have a true bevel. The mat does really make it stand out. Now, I would also say that the trend is, you notice that I'm going across here, there is no acrylic on it.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So what's the deal with that?
I personally really like with the no acrylic. Again, if you're doing the fine art print, you really want to show the fine art paper, the artwork, and kind of just makes your artwork that much more, I'd say, like organic and true to the artist, where I think the acrylic sometimes is a barrier between that. You still, obviously, we sell the acrylic and non-glare acrylic as well, so you can get the option, but I always really like showing it without it.
Okay, so we're talking about the products and we're giving you the popular options, right?
Yep.
So that is what is popular right now. Of course, it depends on your style, it depends on your demographic, all that kind of stuff. And there are two different versions of the acrylic that you can get. The standard, which is going to give you a little bit of specular reflection, and then it has the glare resistant, which is going to soften that as well. But I think it really nice and impactful, just coming straight off as is. And as I mentioned, the modern metal frame really clean, right, in presentation. Let's look at something with wood. This is gorgeous to me. I just love this. Whoever's artwork this is, I mean, I don't know if this is somebody here who did this?
Well, Caitlin actually did our last one. That was her artwork.
Get it back up here, y'all.
She designs, she's one of our designers here, and she designs a lot of our card designs. But yes, she actually
Don't you
did
love
this.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Me too.
We're thankful she lets us use it. So.
We're not going to put her on camera at all today because her hair is like...
She's
So let's move on to this lovely piece. Now, it's tough again because it's white, but I think Connor's going to get it. This is a double mat.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we have double mats available, and it's a true double mat.
Correct.
Right? It's not just an etch into it to approximate it. It's going to have two bevels and the true double mat. And again, this square piece, thick square mat, double mat, it framed like this. I mean, this, when you said gallery, I mean, that's what this says to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb too and say that for me, I love this piece. And this would be a part of probably a companion piece to what is something that's on the wall.
Yes,
right? Because we always get questions like, how big should I go?
Do you know you still have something in your hair?
Still? Honestly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good time. No, it was a lovely, just a quiet stroll outside. It was nice. First of all, you kind of sell what you show, right? If you were to walk into a studio and see this, you'd go, I must have it.
Yes.
Right? And people think, oh no, this is going to be fine for me. This 12 by 12 is actually going to take up so much wall space. Is it though?
Right.
You know, so think about that, right? And size. But I love this presentation. It's kind of modern but classic and tight. The wood is nice and organic. And this has actually, this is actually smooth matte. Love it.
Should we go on to our last one?
Yes, let's go ahead and move on. So those are all the papers. Again, you know, if you're not familiar with them, just get in touch with us. You do want to have samples of them, then you can narrow it down and make your choices. All right, let's move on. What's next, Christina?
So the last product we're talking about today is acrylic prints. I know, Robert, acrylic is one of your favorites.
I do like it. I enjoy the acrylic. Should I tell you why?
Yeah, you should.
All right. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, this kind of goes in the family of metals, right? I mean, as far as presentation go, but the difference is here is that for me, the acrylics are, let's talk about how it's made first of all.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to be a glossy print that is going to be just backed on the regular 3mm styrene, right? And then that becomes one with 1/4 inch acrylic.
Yep.
What the acrylic does is kind of bring the light in and send it back out. We have tabletop versions of our acrylic blocks, which are freestanding and 1 inch thick. Same thing, really just awesome what the light does with it and goes in and out of it. So I love these, so impactful. Yes. I'm gonna say this out loud too. Normally I just say it in my head. I'm gonna say it out loud.
I'm a little nervous, I don't know.
How do I get through a day? I wonder. with the acrylics too, if you do a smaller acrylic, and this is like a mid-size, right? This is a good size, but the smaller it is, same things with metals. I feel like if you do a smaller metal, it's like that's nice, but when you go big, that's when you go wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
The
exactly.
wow is in the big for the metals and the acrylics.
Yep.
So for this, there's really, as far as production goes, there's just one version.
Correct.
And
Yep.
this is it.
Yep.
But we are looking at a different wall presentation, Christina. So what's the deal?
Today we're showing the metal posts, and we do have a couple different colors and sizes, black, gold, and the silver here. But really what this is cool about the acrylics is we tend to see a lot of these clients order with the metal posts because a lot of them are going into like commercial spaces or large spaces. And you kind of mentioned so you can't take them off the wall. I actually didn't really think about that, but I do think it just kind of adds to the vibe of the acrylic too, but you can get the backing just like the metal prints as you kind of showed the metal backing as well.
Right, so the exact same backing for the metal prints. You can get the posts as well, and they're really quite easy to put on and put in. So really, I just knocked that down on purpose. So what's going to happen is you're just going to anchor the one piece to the wall, right, with your anchored screws, and then you're just going to hand turn this in. It's that easy.
It is easy. Yep.
So yes, it does. It's a more permanent display on the wall, so something to think about. But if you're going to go that regard, and again, it's stick off the wall about an inch. So with if you have the float mount or if you have the inset metal frame with the wire hanger, you have a little more freedom.
Oh, when
right?
hanging, correct.
With hanging. The only caution for me is that you measure twice and cut once.
Yep,
All
but
right?
it is easy to get them all in the same spot.
It
If you're
is.
putting a big gallery.
Actually, there's a lovely video of myself putting one of these on the wall. I think maybe it's a metal, but I just did it myself and with basically one hand and holding the print. It's actually quite easy to do. Just get your holes lined up and pop it in there. It's cool, and it will not leave the wall easily, right? So think about that. Let's take a look at some examples back here on the wall. So again, from Mike Handline back here, this penguin, I don't know here we go, kind of get a little bit or a different view. This is what, 2436?
Yeah, and he has a cute story. That's one of his favorite photos that he just shot, I think it was like a month or so ago, but he caught them playing in action, the two penguins.
That is an incredible shot. So really beautiful and a little bit hard again to see, like to translate on camera, but just the way it takes a light in and sends it back out. And then we have another one here, which is kind of nature and person, right? So again, it's Nature Photography Day, but we're kind of encouraging the opening of the envelope and displaying all of your different artwork depending on what your artwork is. So I think we're about winding down. Was there anything else that we missed?
I don't think so. Do we have to get your bee stings taken care of?
Well, it's swelling a little bit, but you know what? I was talking about all the time, I don't know if we can throw this or not, all the different types of artwork, and we showed Adam. Do we still have Christy? Do we have a little segment that we can do?
Yeah, and she visited last fall, and she's an amazing collage artist, and she was pretty cool to have here too, and she'd be able to see her work. And she prints on metals, and just recently, I wish I had some of her prints, she's been printing on the photo rag metallic, or the metallic paper, and giving those mounted. And she says those have been killing it. So
sweet. Can we throw to that?
So do you have a set markup that you'd be willing to share with us on a reproduction, or just kind of an idea that you can give people?
Yeah, I mean, I typically do 2.5 times cost.
Okay.
I mean, that I find works really well for me. It you know, because what I've done now is so I tried the state fair.
Yep.
You know, while the state fair is amazing, and I went this year and I love it, and I love having my art a part of it. You know, going back to business, I think what's important to establish as a business owner, whether you're in art, photography, cookies, is understanding your audience and you know, and what they're doing in a particular area. Like I do a lot. I don't know if you're going to get to this in a minute, but art fairs, and so that's where I tend to find is my audience. And so
for your in-person and getting to know people and repeat clients, how much of your business is made up from that client?
Yeah. So pre-pandemic, 80% of my revenue really came from art shows.
Okay.
And going around the country, certainly the Midwest, and doing art events. There are some, you know, big outdoor art fairs held around the country.
Yep.
And so these are your typical 2-day weekends. where you go in, you set up your white booth, you put up your work, and you get a chance to really connect with people.
Yep.
And I find online, my work, I think, looks great, but people don't quite understand it.
Yep.
But when they're able to see it in person, they understand the layering, the texture and the paper element to it, and that really helps my sales too.
That was awesome. Thanks for that, Christy. So now we had a chance to show you all these different media, and Christy really gives you some great advice on selling that. So definitely check her out too on our YouTube page and
on our website.
From our website as well. Keep in mind that everything we talked about today, you can order right from the website.
Correct.
Right from the website. So it's very easy. It's just a drag and drop, point and click, and you're done. So that's it for us today on Nature Photography
And
Day.
Robert, while you say, I'm going to mention this too. So a lot of these clients tend to drop ship. They drop ship right to the doorstep of the order that they placed online. So a lot of them are drop shipping the final product to the client. So we can easily do that. We do that really well here.
Yep, a very easy thing to do, and yes, it's part of our automation. Think about that too, save you a lot of time. Well, again, on Nature Photography Day, I'm Robert, beside me is Christina, and on behalf of all of us here on the team, get outside in nature and capture the beauty that's all around you. I'd say watch out for the occasional hornet's nest. I mean, they're out there in nature as well. But you all have an awesome day, and we're going to see you next time.